going to be power cuts in many places, just for precaution.
Correct.
And quickly, Abhishek, I'm putting it live on YouTube also.
Okay, sir.
Okay. And I'll just share the link here, because what happens is many people would like to,
Yeah, correct.
let me just switch off the volume there for myself. Otherwise, it will be an echo going on here. And
Yes, sir. Annava Pragaru. CP will count.
for all those people who are asking about CP, kindly understand that I have to share the attendance to ICA CP committee. And unless you are here for the total 120 minutes, I don't think they are going to give CP. So, and in between, I think today Abhishek will be asking some questions also to all of you. And unless you answer, if you answer that, you'll get double CP hours. And if you don't, it will be -2 from you.
Maybe to the relief of the members, I don't think the session will go on for full 120 minutes. So you may get relief of some time in that.
They started giving reliefs already, huh?
Marginal relief, sir. Gilly, sir, you muted.
Naresh, all set. I'll just go to YouTube and I'll. Yeah, it's closed. Just few seconds to go. I can see your father's picture. That was one face we all grew up seeing.
Yeah. So generally in our cabins, the mementos, we try to stack it. So
I don't think you need to buy a flat for that. A few seconds to go and. It's 6 p.m. friends, and as promised, Hyderabad branch starts everything on .6. At the outset, I'd like to congratulate everyone for the victory of Indian cricket team in the first T20 international. I know you'll be surprised why am I doing it here today when I never done it for the earlier matches. There is a reason. The speaker today is itself a good sportsman and is a good cricketer. So I thought, why not bring some smile on his face by sharing this news? Okay. So on behalf of Hyderabad branch of SRC of ICA, it's a great pleasure for me to welcome Dr. C.A. Abhishek Murli, Secretary, SARC of ICA, an excellent person, and I think one of the easiest go-to guys for me now, because whenever I requested him for something, I never got a no, and I'm sure in the next 12 years or 15 years, what you'd be serving the profession, you'll continue to do that, Abhishek. Okay, and today's topic, assessment procedures and handling notices in the faceless assessments era. Friends, you all agree that it is a most happening topic. And I think this is something which we'll have to live with the rest of our life. Many of us are bit cursing. I don't know, many of us, there were some murmurs saying, what is this? How can we explain and all? It's very simple. It has come. The better we learn to accept it, face it, the earlier, the better. Okay. Because see, there are so many changes which will come. The biggest thing for us would be the saving of time. Friends, how much time we have spent earlier driving from one office to other office, and how many times we have sat outside the income tax officer's cabin, and then suddenly some officer goes in and another hour lost. All these things are a days of past, and I think this is one of the biggest advantage the chartered accountants should cherish about. And definitely we'll have to make our work professional. So that's why people like Abhishek sir come and speak to us about it. So I'm not going to tell you more about it, but friends, our attitude has to change. And it will be very difficult for Hyderabadis, Abhishek, because we are all Nawabs. We are from the city of Nawabs. If the hearing is tomorrow, then tonight we'll first think of writing the adjournment letter. I think we have to change ourselves, and definitely, I'm sure we are capable of taking it, and definitely need your support. I'd not like to waste much time of others. I'd like to quickly request Naresh Gelli to give his opening introductory remarks. Then I'll introduce Abhishek sir, and then we'll take it over. Thank you. Over to you, Naresh.
Thank you, Chairman, for giving me the opportunity to give opening remarks. Friends, Abhishek is a very erudite speaker, and he's been talking on this topic of assessment procedures, handling notices in faceless assessment quite very well, and has been addressing members on this topic all across South India. I'm sure he's gone across India also, but he's been a very good speaker, and I'm sure his presentation would be absorbing and enriching to all the members. So I think it's only a matter of time we'll cross 200 also. Not in runs, but in number. So I think, Abhishek, all the best. I'm sure you'll, as usual, you'll impress all the members with your subject and presentation. Looking forward for an excellent presentation. Thank you.
Pankaj ji, you are muted.
Thank you, Nareshji. I said quick, but I didn't expect such quick, and I forgot the T20 is going on. Okay, thank you. I'll introduce speaker of today, Dr. C.A. Abhishek Murli Garu from Chennai. Is also a CMA and a certified information system auditor. His partner in Victor Grace and Company Chartered Accountants, and is the youngest elected secretary of SRC of ICA. He's serving as SRC member since 2016. He's a rank holder in various examinations conducted by various professional bodies. I promise you, we'll have 1 2-hour session wherein I'll be reading out all his ranks and all the examinations, and I'm sure we will have to extend that session. Okay, and he's an expert in direct taxation, international taxation, litigation appeals, valuations, due diligence and mergers and acquisitions. Dr. Abhishek Murli has organized and spoken at more than 1,500 seminars, workshops, and conferences. He was a member of Committee for Implementation and Survey of Faceless Assessments and Faceless Appeal Proceedings constituted by the Ministry of Finance, Government of India. He regularly appears on TV channels and contributes articles of professional interest in various newspapers and journals. He has been nominated to several committees constituted by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, New Delhi, as well as by SRC of ICA. He has authored several books of professional interest and has authored background material for Investors Awareness Referencer, which is published by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, New Delhi. For all of you who are thinking that how can Abhishek look so fit, so smart, so young? Just for them, he is a member of the Madras Gymkhana Club, Madras Cricket Club, Presidency Club, Mylapore Club, Cosmopolitan Club, Golf Phoenix, SVS Club, and is an excellent sportsman, also being an excellent human being. I present Abhishek Murli to you. Over to you, Abhishek, sir. The screen is all yours. I'm here for you. Thank you.
Yeah, 1 second, Abhishek. Friends, must congratulate Pankaj Trivedi for planning this webinar at a very appropriate time. And at this point of time, when we are having our income tax returns, tax audit returns and all that, I think this is the best timing. So I must congratulate Chairman for timing so very well. In addition to playing cricket, here also he played very well. So Abhishek, it's yours now.
Thank you so much. So, first of all, thank you so much, Chairman of Hyderabad branch, Shri Pankaj Trivedi ji, who is also a golden individual. He is someone who has been showering so much praise on me. Even the very lovely introduction, he is saying that I am fit and healthy. Two things my wife never tells me. So it is nice to hear that from you, sir. And thank you so much for the invitation. It's a pride and privilege for me to be addressing at the very, very dynamic Hyderabad branch, which is one of the best branches in India, consistently getting the awards. And I think you have great leadership this year as well under Pankaj ji, who's doing a fabulous job. And I must also thank my regional council colleague, CA Naresh Gelli sir, who is a pillar of support, be it in the council or outside the council also. He has been kind enough to organize so many programs across the entire southern region on these matters which are of professional interest, and I've worked with him closely on these. And here is the dynamic tie-up between the Hyderabad chairman and Gilli, where all the programs, many of the programs that I've addressed, be it in Telangana or Andhra, most of the small branches, they have difficulty in terms of the software that they're using for these virtual conferences. We all know this pandemic period is for a limited period of time, be it 12 months or 9 months or whatever happens in the next few months, given the vaccine is out. So naturally, there's a tendency of waiting to see whether I should spend several lakhs and buy a software and or for it to go to waste, or what should I do? Many of the branches were faced with this challenge. And I'm very pleased to note many members may not be aware of this, but Pankaj ji and the Hyderabad branch have done a huge favor to many branches where they are extending the software to them for their support, for their infrastructure, without the branches having to spend their money. So Hyderabad branch has spent the money on their behalf and they're offering the software to them to use it. So huge credit to you, sir. It's a real service that you're doing for the members of our fraternity. So Gilli sir has also been a very, very critical proponent of this in organizing the programs and speakers. So I thank him as well for taking time out of his schedule to be here with us today. And finally, of course, I thank all the participants for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here. As both Pankaj sir and Gelli ji both said, the timing of this is very, very important. I am sure many of you will be busy with your tax audits, your company audits, and your individual filings, which is happening right now. All the dates are piling up now. December 31st is when you see normally one deadline we'll have end of the month. This time around 10 or 12 deadlines we have. So I'm sure you're all going to feel the pressure towards the end of this month. But having said that, unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, the COVID lockdown period pushed all your assessments, which was pending, which should have come up for hearing, that is now slowly being taken under the faceless assessment scheme. So many of you or your assessees, they'll be slowly receiving notices. Some of them may have already got. If they have not got, then next to 2-3 weeks, you will start seeing more and more of these notices. And it is very pertinent to note that being faceless, there are going to be a lot of challenges associated with it. There are many benefits. There are a significant amount of benefits being faceless, but at the same time, being something new, definitely there are going to be challenges with it. I always say, along with challenges, opportunities come. I always go back whenever I think of any change in the income tax, I go to my father, I discuss with him how it was before. And the first thing that I always ask is, how was it, 20 years back, 30 years back, when you were doing active practice? And one very common thing was the tax audit filing, your individual return filing, etc. He used to say, there used to be a mad rush where up to midnight, there used to be huge queues where people stand to submit it and get a chop and get it across the counter, sign and go. And today, nobody will go. Even if you give them the option to go and stand and do it, nobody is going to do it. So people have adopted the digital mode with both their hands. But initially, there was some sort of, hesitation to adopt it. Oh, what are the challenges? Whether it will go smoothly? What about network connection? But today, nobody talks about that. My view is the faceless assessment also. This is what we're going to see. And let me tell you something. I have the privilege of being part of the committee which was constituted by the Ministry of Finance for this implementation and survey of the faceless assessment scheme. And almost every 2 weeks, we have a meeting. And the common trend that I have seen is that the government are very, very behind this faceless assessment scheme. They wanted to succeed and they have been quite open-minded. They take criticism from us. They say what challenges you're facing, what are the problems CAs are facing, what would assessees want, what difficulties you're having. All of these we are submitting on a regular basis, and they are trying to correct it and implement it in the faceless assessment scheme. So gone are the days, as Pankaj very rightly said, gone are the days where we have to fight and say this should not happen. That is not going to happen at all. This is very much there. It is going to exist. So as chartered accountants, whether we like it or not, this is there. So now we must adopt this and therefore learn a little bit more about it and what are the certain challenges that you may face that now today I will tell you how you can overcome it. Let me share my screen now for my presentation. Pankaj, is that okay?
Yeah, perfect. And by the time Abhishek sir is sharing the screen, friends, couple of things. Topic is important. Speaker is excellent. Forget writing your name. CP hours will come. I promise you, once Abhishek sir goes out of the screen, I will be here for 15 minutes for you. You can put your name and CP numbers. If you are there in as a giving your full name, like if Naresh Chandragali doesn't need, okay, Ravi Shankar Ponuganti, you don't need, if the full name is given, we will pull out the membership numbers and just put questions in Q&A only so that we can just take the advantage and we'll be able to ask the speakers. These chats are popping out and they are disturbing people. So friends, humble request is forget writing your name and CPA. I'll give 15 minutes grace time. Like after every seminar, we moved for tea. So let us, you all get your tea and just sit near the system and you can talk. Okay, over to you, Abhishek sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So this topic, as I discussed, the introduction is something we're all familiar with now. But I think Pankaj had specifically requested that I touch upon not only certain important aspects of faceless assessment, but the procedures, especially regarding the issues faced by members in CPC. So I'll touch upon certain CPC related challenges also that you people are facing consistently and how you need to tackle them. Because I'm going to start out with the overview of it. You're all aware that the faceless assessment is not something that suddenly they thought about and launched it. This has been in the pipeline for almost 2.5 to 3 years now. You can go back all the way to 2018 to check the amendments made in the Act. 143.3A, a section was introduced way back in 2018. So therefore, it is not something that they suddenly thought about. The infrastructure, the ideology, everything has been behind them for a very long time. They've been working behind the scenes and they've been trying to get it as quickly as possible, but as smooth as possible as well. And in August, we saw our Honorable Prime Minister on 13th of August, to be precise, very grand announcement where he said transparent taxation, honoring the honest. And our entire income tax is going to be built on 3 pillars. The first one being faceless assessment, the second one being faceless appeals, and the third one being a taxpayer charter. Now he says these 3 are going to be honoring the honest, and we are going to completely reduce the scrutiny. Many changes are coming, and I must say there have been a lot of changes, but at the same time, being the teething stages, there have been certain challenges. But before we understand exactly what faceless assessment is, let us quickly try to understand what was there before. Because as Geliji very rightly said, I've been speaking on this topic across India for almost a year and a half now. Before this entire e-assessment came, since I've been closely involved with the implementation, I've been trying to create awareness. And one of the most common questions that I get asked, I will tell you. First thing is, what is manual assessment? We are all familiar with what is manual assessment, where you get a notice or your client gets a notice. He'll bring the notice to you. You'll go through the notice, prepare your written submissions, go meet the assessing officer for a hearing, argue the case, give your submissions. Based on your submissions, he will either pass a favorable order or an adverse order accordingly. So that is manual assessment. We are all familiar with this. Then there was something known as email assessment or e-assessment. Please note this. I am not talking about faceless assessment. I am talking about email or e-assessment, however you want to call it. But what was this email or e-assessment? Till before March, unless you are in the pilot criteria, they had selected a pilot category of people who will be under faceless assessment, where 90%, 95% of the assessees were not under this, very handful of assessees. So if you were in that 95%, you would have been something known as email assessment. The reason I'm repeatedly talking about this email assessment is because you should not confuse it with faceless assessment. Under email assessment, if you log into your e-filing portal, you go there will be a tab in the top, e-assessment proceedings, e-proceedings. If you click on that, you used to have a list of the cases. What and all cases are there? Now also the tab is there. But before, in that tab, all your assessment years used to come. Assessment year 12, 13, 13, 14, 14. Then next to that tab, you used to have one button. Whether you want this assessment to be done under virtual mode, yes or no. Now, if you select no, it will be done physically. So now the next question is, if I go to the physical assessing officer, then I have to submit my argument. It naturally becomes a manual assessment. What if I select yes? Now, in certain cases that I handle, now 90% of cases, I think all chartered accountants, we are more comfortable going and presenting and arguing our case physically for various reasons, including the fact that certain issues, they are not going to be easy to present on a piece of paper. It's easier to explain it across the table. So therefore, you prefer physical assessment. Anyone would prefer physical assessment simply because not only rapport, but even to explain the case. Now, for certain clients, I chose virtual only. I said, do you want it to be done virtually? I said, yes, I don't want physical. Next day, I got a call from the assessing officer. Abhishek, this assessee you are taking care of? I said, yes, sir. He said, can you come to my office and give the submissions? I said, sir, I've selected a virtual assessment only. He said, yeah, but it is with my charge only. I prefer you come physically. So I had to go to the income tax department again and submit all the documents to the assessing officer. So this is what is happening in this email assessment scheme, because it is the very same assessing officer. It's the same jurisdictional officer. And whether you select email or non-email, whether you select physical or non-physical, certain assessing officers prefer it to be done under the manual mode only. Where I select manual mode, I will go argue with the officer. Then he will tell me, Abhishek, once you go to the office, you just scan the documents and upload as if you have done it online. So all of this used to happen under this e-assessment mode. Therefore, it defeated the purpose of doing a e-assessment. So what did the government do next? As on 13th of August 2020, they brought in what is known as the Faceless Assessment Scheme. What is this faceless assessment? Wait a minute. See the impact of this faceless assessment. Henceforth, your assessee who's sitting in Hyderabad will no longer be assessed by an assessing officer based in Hyderabad. Your assessing officer could be in Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta, Chennai, Ernakulam, anywhere across India, you will not know, because the communication will be only with the income tax department. Now, the next question you may ask, sir, somehow Abhishek, I found out who is the assessing officer. He's a person sitting in Delhi. So next year, it will be the same person. I'll be building a rapport with him. Sir, it is not going to happen like that. It is a totally dynamic jurisdiction, which means year on year, it will keep on changing. This year, it could be Bombay. Next year, it could be Calcutta. Next year, it could be somewhere else in Andhra also. You never know. So therefore, it is a dynamic jurisdiction. So gone are the cases of you even finding out who that assessing officer is. It is not going to happen. That situation where you can try to build a rapport over years, that will also never happen. So therefore, faceless assessment is very much in effect. Now, let me ask you one more question over here. I'll put a question to the audience. There's a situation. Now, on 14th of August, I get a notice for my assessee. I'm getting a notice for my assessee. Will it be faceless assessment? Yes or no? The answer is yes. It is very straightforward. 13th August onwards, everything is faceless assessment. So I am under faceless assessment. On 4th of April, I am getting a notice for my assessee for faceless assessment. I am not able to go. Why? Because lockdown has happened. So therefore, is it faceless or physical? Now this situation, since no appearances you have made, automatically it becomes a faceless assessment. Now let us talk about one more scenario. Your assessee has got a notice You have appeared 9 times before the assessing officer physically. 9 appearances you have made before the physical jurisdictional assessing officer. You presented all your arguments. Everything is done. Written submissions given. Everything done. He says, Abhishek, you come on 30th of March. You come on 30th of March. I will pass the order and I will give it to you in your hand and I will do it in the system. I said, thank you so much, sir. So I leave very happily. I call my client. I tell him, by next 10 days, you will get your order. What happens on 26th of March or 24th of March? India went into a total lockdown, where even today, many parts of India are not completely out of the lockdown. So from 23rd of March, we have been in a lockdown. And on 13th of August, suddenly our Honorable Prime Minister has announced faceless assessment. You have appeared 9 times. Only your order is pending. Will it come under faceless assessment, or can you go and collect the order from the jurisdictional assessing officer? This is a common challenge many auditors are facing, where you have appeared multiple times, but order is not yet ready. Ladies and gentlemen, the government have taken a stand. Within 1 hour of our Honorable Prime Minister's address on 13th of August, CBDT issued a notification saying all pending cases before all assessing officers across India will now be transferred to the faceless assessment scheme. So whether I've appeared 1 time, whether I've appeared no times, whether I've appeared 20 times also, no distinction is being made. If the order is not passed for your assessee, ladies and gentlemen, it is a de novo assessment under the faceless assessment scheme. So therefore, please note, just because you have appeared many times, just because you have given submissions for an assessee, please do not think you have done your part. If it gets to the faceless assessment scheme, it is a de novo assessment. It means it's a fresh assessment under a new assessing officer or an assessment unit. So that is a very critical point to note in this entire transition phase of this faceless assessment scheme. Now let me come to the first point. I'm going to cover 8 very critical points that you all will have common questions. The first point that I want to point out is communication of notices. Ladies and gentlemen, across my experience as going for appeals, many cases that I handle, in fact, in Hyderabad also I've handled many cases at the ITAT level, which have been referred by other auditors. One common thing, I always ask for the ITR and the computation statement for whatever case that I'm handling. And 90% of the time, most auditors, they give their own contact details for the client. So they say, this is the contact details for the client. I'll give my phone number, my email ID, etc. Why? The reason is simple. I have more control. If I get a notice, I will respond to it. If my client gets a notice, he will send it to me after 8 months. Sir, you have not responded to the notice. He'll say, sir, you have not sent the notice at all. For that, most auditors, what we used to say, you give us your email ID, whatever for your PAN number, we will take care of it. Let the communication come to us. We will handle it. You don't worry. Then what happened? Almost 6 or 7 years back, the government brought a limitation. CBDT said maximum 10 PAN numbers only can be registered to one email ID or one mobile number. In fact, in my office, for all of our clients, we used to give our communication, and we had to change it. For almost 900 clients, we had to change it to their own email ID. Then the question came, certain clients, what they will do? When they have no knowledge, they will forward everything. Good people. Some people, they have full knowledge. They will forward whatever is relevant. Okay. But the worst people are people who have half-baked knowledge, where they will say, sir, after all 143.3 notice intimation I have got. You'll say, sir, 143.3 is not an intimation. Please send it to us. No, it is intimation, Abhishek. Sir, no, sir, you please forward it to us. I got it 6 months back. Sir, we have to have gone on appeal in 30 days. Your time for that also over. So people who have half-baked knowledge, your clients are actually worse off. So what we did is we made a blanket rule for all of our clients where we said, any communication you get, immediately forward it to us. Even when you file your return, you'll get acknowledgement. No, return has been filed, like that. We said, even that you please forward it to us. You don't make any discretion. Any communication from income tax, you forward it to us. So even fraudulent SMSs, they used to get, your refund for 59,000 is pending. Like that, some fake SMS you are circulating, where people used to click one link and bank details they used to share. and suddenly bank amounts and all was getting attached. So a lot of scams were happening. We said, even that you forwarded to us. We will tell you if it is real or not. So this is the sort of reaction we have to take with our clients. And why I will tell you now, this is important. Many people, they did not do that. Even though that 10 limit came, many auditors, many lawyers, they did not make the changes for the assessees. Till date, when faceless assessment was not there, whether it was manual assessment or email assessment or e-assessment as you may call it, even though communication was being sent by email, they used to send a physical communication also. Please remember, they used to send a physical communication also. So therefore, whether I'm giving auditor email ID, assessee email ID, I don't care, because I used to get a physical notice and I will go and appear. Ladies and gentlemen, wait a minute. Under the faceless assessment scheme, your communication will be received only in 3 forms: under email, under mobile application, which is under development, and by either SMS or even a WhatsApp communication to the assessee. In fact, even the Supreme Court 2 months back, in an order, they said a WhatsApp communication to the petitioner or respondent will constitute service of notice. So therefore, communication can be sent by the department in WhatsApp also today. So therefore, communication will be sent only in these 3 forms under the faceless scheme. You will not get a physical communication, because under a faceless assessment scheme, you don't know who it is. Department also don't know who you are. So therefore, my only request to all auditors, ensure for all of your clients, you update the contact details. When you log into the income tax portal, one pop-up will come. Please confirm the address details and communication details for the assessee. 90% of the time, we will only close it. We will not even see what is there. 90% of the time, those details will be wrong. It will be as per the PAN card that your assessee applied. 100 years back, you would have applied PAN card. It will be showing some wrong address. Madras and all it will say. Madras changed to Chennai in 1990s, but still it will say Madras like that. So all of these issues are being constantly faced by people. We generally didn't update because anyway physical used to come. But under faceless scheme, please ensure you update for all of your clients their contact details and put the latest contact details for them. Now, the next question is regarding what are the income tax teams? Now, if you have been following this faceless assessment closely, there are 3 critical things which is there in the Act itself. Section 143(3)(a) of the Act will have 3 very, very pertinent words. There are 3 subsections to that, but there are 3 words which are very, very pertinent here. The first one is technology-based assessment, it says. Technology-based, we all understand. Everything is going to be on the system. Everything is going to be online. We are all clear about this. The next word that they are using, they will say dynamic jurisdiction. What is dynamic jurisdiction? We have already understood. Assessee in Hyderabad will be assessed by anyone across India. We have understood. Next thing they'll use is team-based assessment. They say what is called a team-based assessment. The section itself says this, team-based assessment along with the dynamic jurisdiction. What do they mean by team-based assessment? What is this team-based assessment? They'll say functional specialization and team-based assessment. What do they mean by these? Very, very heavy terms these are. Let us understand. See, under the faceless assessment scheme, there are going to be what is known as 4 units. They're establishing 4 units. First one is an assessment unit. What does this assessment unit do? They identify the issues to be raised. They seek additional information and analyze the information for these issues. They will draft an assessment order and send it to NEAC. Now, here's a very critical point. What do they mean by NEAC? You see, the NEAC is in the center of everything. You will understand when I go into the next few slides. NEAC is like the brain for this entire faceless assessment scheme. They are in the center of everything. They are the persons who direct all the queries, everything, everywhere. And I have said that in a very vague definition now. You will understand more clearly when I show the next slide. Before that, let us just quickly understand what these units are. Next, you're going to have a verification unit. After the assessment unit, you have a verification unit. What does this verification unit do? They conduct inquiries. They examine books of accounts. They record statements through video conferencing. Now, I already see certain people are raising their hands. Now, when you raise a hand here, I know why. Straight away, you're going to say, Abhishek, you said faceless assessment. Now you are saying video conferencing. Which one is it? Is it faceless or is it with the face? Ladies and gentlemen, very right question. Those of you who are raising your hands, you are very appropriately raising your hands. Let me tell you over here, the verification unit is the only unit in the entire faceless assessment scheme which will have any sort of FaceTime with the assessee. No other unit will have FaceTime with the assessee. So they will be able to record statements. What do we mean by record statement? I will give you an example. A case that I handled. What happened? Assessee had agricultural income. This agricultural income, whenever you have agricultural land and cultivation is happening there, in Tamil Nadu, you will have a person called a Tasildar who will be certifying, yes, all these crops have grown over here. This is the amount of sale. These are the quintals of the units that he has sold. All these details will be there in what is known as a Tasildar statement, what he will be issuing. It will be in the regional language. In one case that I handled, the auditor had claimed agricultural income. He had appeared and they had said that we have got a statement from the Tasildar stating that the land is not cultivable. He said, sir, I got a statement from him 4 years back saying I have grown all these crops and I have sold also. Now he is coming and saying it is not cultivable. They said, no, we are going to pass an order against you. What happened? The auditor had approached me. He said, what can we do? I said, sir, ask for a cross objection of the Tasildar statement, what he's asked for. When we asked for a cross objection, he asked me to represent. I had gone. And they could not coordinate. They kept saying he is not there on this date. Whenever I am not free, they will say he is coming on that day. So one day I cancelled all my meetings. I said, sir, anytime you call, I will come. So finally I went there. Tasildar also came. Tasildar said, yes, nothing was grown. It was actually uncultivable. I said, sir, you have given a statement 3 years back. Is this not the vigilance issue? If you are saying it is based on corruption or whatever reason you are saying you gave a certificate, is it not a vigilance issue that you have given a wrong statement? It is your own statement that you have given. So, sir, no, it is correct only. It is cultivable. He has actually sold the crops. Immediately, department, they said, no, we will do this later. We cannot have the hearing today. We will postpone the hearing. All of this is happening inside the hearing. So then finally what happened? Department passed a ex parte order saying we called the assessee. He refused to come for the cross examination. So ex parte order passed. On appeal, we won the case. But the fact is simple. The moment I asked for a cross objection, and in the course of the cross objection, I got a favorable answer for myself. So in appeal, I easily won the case because when I said cross objection was denied, they immediately gave me the case in my favor. They dismissed the assessment order. So therefore, cross objection has a very valuable thing. And if I did not have that FaceTime with that Tasildar to cross examine him, I may not have got the same answer that I got. I cannot give it in a piece of paper. He will not feel that pressure of the cross examination. So therefore, they said cross examination, etc. You can do it through video conferencing, but only the verification unit will have this. Then next unit is known as a technical unit. Now this also requires a certain important example because, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. This technical unit and review unit, these two units are going to be a game changer for the income tax department. It is going to be a game changer for them and you will understand why. And I'm sure all of you will resonate with the example that I'm going to give you. You're all familiar that there is an exemption ward in our income tax department where they handle trust societies, all of these cases they handle. Now, what is common? Very often you have assessing officers who are in one department for a very long time. So in one case that I handled, there was one assessing officer who was in the exemption department for almost 15 years. 15 years he was handling only exemption cases, nothing else. Suddenly what happened? 1 month before the time barring date, they transferred him to a corporate ward. They transferred him to corporate ward. This gentleman in 1 month, he has to understand all the corporate ward provisions, income tax provisions. He has to understand what issues he has to raise before the assessees. 3, whatever issues raised, he has to understand the issues in detail. 4th, he has to provide hearings to the assessees. And 5th, he has to understand everything and pass an effective order All of this in a span of 1 month, 1.5 months. Is it practically possible? He'll be having around 60, 70 assessees in his jurisdiction. Ladies and gentlemen, it is fair to say in this sort of setup, there is going to be certain poor orders. I think it is to the credit of the department that somehow they are still managing effective, strong orders in these very trying circumstances. Where last minute they're transferred, or be it even 2 months' time if they have to still understand a bulk of issues in a very short span of time, examine for all the assessees in their jurisdiction and pass an order. So it is to their credit that they're still doing it. But definitely in the process, there are going to be some assessment orders which are going to be not as effective, which means either in the favor of department or in the favor of assessing. Either way, there is going to be some mistake somewhere. I'll give you an example of the case that I handled. Very same facts. The assessing officer was in the exemption jurisdiction for almost 15 years. He was transferred in the last minute to corporate ward. The auditor who was handling the case, he went and he appeared. He said, I want all the documents for your assessee in a 3 days time. Assessee said, please give me 4 days. He said, I will not give you, please come in 3 days. Assessee, what he did, he tried to get the details from the client. Client did not come. He had to go on the 4th day. Assessing officer said, I have already passed the order. I told you 3 days time, you have not come, I have passed an order. End of the day, you see the order, what he has passed. He has passed an order. It was a loss-making assessee. He passed an order saying that the assessee has not provided details that I have sought for, and ex parte order, entire sales, I'm going to take a presumptive basis 8% as your profit, and I'm going to tax it at that. Huge losses assessee is making. He could have made 3 or 4 additions, which the assessee had actually given details. Only on 2 or 3 issues assessee did not give, but he has made a full addition over here like this. When the auditor had come to me, I said, sir, don't worry, one hearing we will win the case in the appeal. I am sure many of you know why. When we went on appeal, all I had to say is one thing. I said, your lordship, presumptive taxation is not applicable for companies. Straight away, presumptive taxation, 8% tax. 44AD is not applicable to companies. So therefore, the entire basis of the assessment order is wrong. Please quash it. One hearing done. The order was given. Addition was quashed. But ladies and gentlemen, here brings me to an important point. If that assessing officer had spent a little bit more time, or he had more time in his hands, then he would have made certain additions and he would have at least brought down the loss. Maybe he would have not had a tax collection, but at least loss he could have brought down, and maybe penalty he could have initiated, something he could have done. But in that exuberance, in the lack of time, in order to meet targets in all of these circumstances, without having the technical knowledge, they rush into passing some orders, which ends up sometimes in the favor of assessee, sometimes adverse to the assessee. But this is the reality. Ladies and gentlemen, I took a simple case of a presumptive taxation. There are various issues, especially when it comes to capital gains, ICDS, accounting standards, AS 30, 31, 32. Every time I read it, I'll get one perspective. So all of these are complex scenarios where the assessing officers sometimes are not equipped with the knowledge. Even if they study for 3-4 months, sometimes you cannot get a conclusive opinion. Now the technical unit. This technical unit is going to be a game changer. Now the CBRT is going to constitute teams of experts. When it comes to capital gains matters, there will be capital gains experts. When it comes to accounting matters, there will be accounting experts. When it comes to transfer pricing, there will be transfer pricing experts. Like this, there will be several units which will be created where you will have experts. And every assessing officer can refer to the expert. Sir, this matter of 54F, should I allow or not? I don't know. Refer it to the expert capital gains team. They will come back with an opinion. Yes, in your jurisdiction, there is a case in favor of the department. You can please disallow it. Yes, you cannot allow it in this case because assessee is absolutely right. He can claim 54. Don't disallow it. Don't make an addition. Like this, the technical unit will give their inputs. Whether 44AD I can do. Sir, 44AD is not for companies. Do not make that addition. Instead, make other additions. Like this, the technical unit will give their inputs and their feedback to the assessment unit. Please note, till now, so many years, there was nothing known as expert. If you are in salary ward, you have to learn. If you are in corporate ward, you have to learn. If you are in exemption ward, assessing officer has to learn. They did not have a choice where they can refer to an expert. Worst case scenario, they used to ask that auditor itself, sir, you please explain to me what these provisions are. Now gone are those days. In-house experts they will have who will provide them real-time feedback on their cases. The next one, the final unit, also one of the deal-breaking units, is what is known as the review unit. As someone who regularly does appeal matters, and you can ask any person who appears regularly for appeals, they will tell you, when we draft our grounds of appeal, we will, however strong the case, however strong our case might be, we will never start on merits. We will always start only on technical points. I'll give you an example. Section 147, reopening or reassessment. You are all familiar, in 2003, the Supreme Court passed a very, very landmark decision known as GK and Drive Shaft. GK and Drive Shaft laid down the procedures as to how reopening cases needs to be handled. If you read the Bar Act, you will not get it. This is nowhere in the Bar Act. It is a judge-made law. It is a judge-made law. And what does this GK and Drive Shaft Supreme Court decision in 2003 say? When there is a reopening, when you receive a notice under section 148, what is the procedure? First, as an assessee, I must file my return in response to the reopening of assessment. Even if I don't agree, even if I'm the most honest paying taxpayer in the planet, that I will never do any fraud, even in that case, I have to still file a return in response to the notice. After I file the return, I can seek the reasons for reopening from the assessing officer. The assessing officer is duty bound to provide the reasons for the reopening. Then I can raise objections against the reasons for reopening. The assessing officer is once again duty bound to dispose of each of my objections to the reopening. And only after all these stages can they even start the reassessment proceedings. All of this happens before the starting of the reassessment proceedings. So therefore, in the cases that we handle at the ITAT level, always I will check whether these compliances have been complied with. Many cases are there where every addition made by the assessing officer is perfectly valid. It has a lot of merit. He's absolutely right in every single thing. The client is a big fraud. All of these issues he has done. Yes, they have to collect tax. All of this might be true. But if under GK and Drive Shaft, I have asked for reasons and that assessing officer has not provided me reasons, ladies and gentlemen, case closed, ITAT, I will win the case. I will walk home. I will not even argue the merits of the case. I will repeatedly say, GK and Drive Shaft, GK and Drive Shaft, they have not complied with, and I will easily win the case. This one more reason is why the department on many cases, they were struggling to win because certain drafting issues used to be there. The assessing officers who were drafting the assessment orders, sometimes inadvertently, they used to miss out certain finer points. And of course, the assessee is equipped with both the time and the resources to find someone who will handle the cases, who will know the finer points. So naturally, in appeal, they will harp on the finer points and win the cases. So now, the government and the department have taken a very firm stand. If we lose the case, let us lose the case on merits. Let us not lose on simple grounds like reopening objections are not disposed of, reopening whether beyond 4 years approval has been obtained, whether it is a speaking order or a non-speaking order. All of these are flimsy reasons why the department loses case in appeals. So now they have said, we will have a review unit. What will this review unit do? They will check the assessment orders. They will check whether it has been drafted correctly. They will check to see, have you actually disposed of the objections raised by the assessees? If you have not, this assessment will be invalid. You please give him another opportunity immediately. Like that, the review unit will give suggestions to the assessment officer. And then only after all these suggestions, after they incorporate it, will the order be passed. So therefore, it is another important step towards the direction of protecting the assessee and rather protecting the assessing officer from making mistakes in the order, and therefore in appeal they can argue the merits and try to finish the case on merits over there. So that is the overall 4 units. Now that brings me to the first question that I asked you, which is, what are income tax schemes? Ladies and gentlemen, these 4 units that you are seeing on your screen has 4 sets of experts. Each of these units has their own experts in each of them, and all of them are working together to pass a single order. It is not like how it used to be. Earlier, all of the functions that we discussed, everything we spent the last 15 minutes discussing, all of these functions was done by a single person. It was done by a single person. Whether he is equipped or not, it had to be done by a single person. Now, of course, you have experts from all of each teams who will come and do their job. So therefore, the department is now empowered with both information and a collaborative teamwork. So that is what they mean by team-based assessment under the Faceless assessment scheme. Next is, what is the procedure? Now, when you look at the screen, many of you may get a little perturbed, saying why there are so many boxes, why there are so many lines. Please don't get scared. I've tried to show the entire, the entire Faceless assessment scheme in one glance, so that you look at this one time, you will understand the entire scheme easily. We have understood what each unit does. We have understood the broad elements of the scheme. Now let us take a specific example. We will take a specific example. If your assessee gets a notice tomorrow, what will you do? How will the procedure work? Let me explain to you. As I told you, in the middle of the screen, you can see the NEAC. You can see the NEAC. This is the brain. It is going to be the coordinator for the entire e-assessment or the Faceless assessment. The assessee interacts only with the NEAC, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very important point. So therefore, how does it start? Please follow my cursor or my arrow that you see on the screen. And you can see the numbers in the lines that shows the sequence of the movement. The NEAC first, what they do? They serve a notice on the assessee. And the assessee, in response to the notice, he submits his response. The next stage, the NEAC allot the case, or they assign the case to an assessment unit. You can see arrow number 3 over here. They assign the case to the assessment unit. Now there was a lot of confusion here. Does that mean I can assign whatever assessment unit I want? Can I say, okay, this person case, you go to Bombay, this person case, you go to Delhi? It has been clarified. It is going to be a computer generated process. So it is going to be completely at random. You won't know where it is. Even department will not know where it is. Case will get assigned by the computer to a certain specific department. So therefore, why this happens? Many cases are there where there is unfortunate instances where assessees try to exert influences on the assessing officer. I'll give you an example. Now there's a case, very landmark case. In fact, a movie was also made on this in UP, where there's a Gunda and he has huge assets, huge money, lot of undisclosed income. So what this person will do, if the assessing officer takes up this case, reopening of assessment, reassessment for this case he takes up, and then he issues a notice saying, I'm going to make 4 additions. What will that Gunda do? That Gunda, he will send, for each addition, he will say 1 person. So by the time that assessing officer comes home, he'll say, you're making 4 additions. I'm sending 4 people to threaten you. And assessing officer is under pressure. And to their credit, many assessing officers, despite this, they pass effective orders. But it's completely unfair to them, where they're threatened with their life, they're threatened with their families. And all of this are facts. I am not making up an imaginary scenario. This has happened across India. Many assessing officers, they have faced this. So therefore, in these scenarios, what should they do? They cannot do anything because they are within the same jurisdiction of their Gunda. So they are under pressure. Now, simple, in this very, very simple case, that case will be transferred anywhere across India. So where will this Gunda send his people to? He cannot send anyone anywhere. This drug lord, mafia, he cannot send anyone anywhere because he does not know where they are. So once again, department empowered. So NAC assigns the case to assessment unit somewhere in India. We don't know where. So now the assessment unit have got the information submitted by the assessee. Then they are going through it. Okay, these are the facts, but this is not enough. I want some more information. I want some more information. So what do? They ask for more information. Who do they ask this information to? They do not ask the assessee. That is the most important point under the scheme, where the assessment unit has no contact whatsoever with the assessee. The assessment unit see arrow number 4A. They request for more information to the NEAC. The NEAC, they will send a notice to assessee saying, I want more information. Assessee has to once again send it back to NEAC. NEAC will again forward this to the assessment unit. So look at all the steps involved. The assessment unit do not interact with the assessee at all. So assessment unit wants more information. They send it to the NEAC saying, I want all of this. Who forwarded it to the assessee? Now the information or response is forwarded back to the assessment unit. Assessment unit is going through it. They see, okay, there is an agricultural land in Tamil Nadu, it seems. I am from Delhi. All the language of the agreement deeds and all happen to be in Tamil, and I don't understand it. Can I pass an effective order? No. So I am sending it to a team based in Tamil Nadu who will do the verification. 2 verifications. 1, whether actually it is agricultural land. 2, if it is agricultural, then please translate it from Tamil to English or Hindi for me so that I can understand it. So assessment unit will send a request for verification. You see arrow number 4B here. They will send a request for verification to the NEAC. The NEAC in turn will allot the right team. Oh, it is a Tamil case, then we will put to someone in Tamil Nadu for verification. Oh, you want only translation? There is a assessing officer who is based in Hyderabad who knows Tamil, he will translate it for you. So therefore, the verification unit is allotted by the NEAC. The verification unit go through all the details. They say, okay, I will do the translation. Yes, you are completely right. There is no agricultural activity. Like that, all their submissions, they will send once again. They will not send it to the assessment unit. Even between the units, even between the 4 units, no communication. The verification unit will send it to the NEAC. NEAC in turn, they will forward it to the assessment unit. Therefore, the assessment unit also don't know who's the verification unit. So now the assessment unit wanted more information, they've got it. They wanted verification to be done, verified. Then suddenly they see 54F issue. They are not sure whether the assessee can claim or not. So he is not someone who has experience in capital gains. He has been in exemption mode for 15 years. What does the assessing officer do? He requests for technical assistance. So see arrow number 4C. He requests for technical assistance to the NEAC. NEAC will read, oh, capital gains issue. We will send it to the technical unit who are experts in capital gains. So they will forward it to the technical unit who have experience in capital gains. With all the facts will be summarized and sent to them. Technical unit will go through everything. They will say, yes, 54F you have to disallow. You cannot claim it in this scenario. And technical unit will send it. Once again, they will send it to NEAC. NEAC again, they will forward it back to the assessment unit. Papada. First they wanted information, they have got it. Then they wanted verification, they have got it. Then they wanted technical assistance, they have got it. Finally, can they pass the order? Wait a minute. Here also they are saying, you can pass only a draft order. You cannot pass an assessment order. So they have passed a draft assessment order. They sent it to NEAC. NEAC forwarded it to review unit. So review unit, they'll go through the order. Sir, what you have written? You have made 6 additions. In single page, you have passed an order. What kind of order this is? Please redraft it and send it. Please explain in detail why you are making each addition. Like that, review unit will write their feedback and send it to the NEAC. NEAC will forward it to assessment unit and they will finally make all the changes. Now here's where we'll think, sir, all these stages done, information they wanted, they already, verification to be done, verified, technical assistance he had given, review needs to be done of the order, review also done. Can I finally pass my order, sir? You can pass, sir, but we will call it a draft assessment order. It is still going to be called, after all these 4 stages, only a draft assessment order. What do they mean by this? Ladies and gentlemen, this is an excellent change which has come and finally been incorporated in the faceless assessment scheme. This is an issue that I have been fighting for a very long time. Very long time. I've been fighting for this for the benefit of assessees and auditors. And I'll give you a prime example of an issue that I handled, and I can explain that to you in clear. What happened in this assessee's case is it was an addition pertaining to penny stocks. It was an addition pertaining to penny stocks, where exemption claimed under section 10 subsection 38 was going to be denied by the learned assessing officer. Now, multiple appearances made. I explained how it was, yes, it's a penny stock. but Assi has done everything through banking channels. He is not aware. He is not engaged in any of these sort of transactions in the past. And we tried to establish that in this case, even if it is a penny stock, Assi had done it genuinely. So it was not done with the intent to defraud the income tax. Now, in the back end, we explained to the assessee saying, sir, worst case scenario, your disallowance will be there for the exemption you have claimed. You please be prepared to pay. Assessee also said, yes, sir, I am prepared to pay. I know it is my mistake only. So all of this has happened. 9 appearances I've made all these submissions. Then finally, assessment order is passed. Assessment order has 2 additions. One addition, they have disallowed section 10 subsection 38, whatever exemption claim, they have disallowed. No problem, no complaints. Second addition, they have said capital movement, unexplained capital movement. If everything is disallowed, then assessee does not have source to explain. So therefore, we have disallowed addition made on unexplained movement of capital. In 9 appearances that I have made, in 3 show cause notices the department has issued, never once have they ever questioned the assessee on such capital movement. Assessee is also saying, sir, I can explain why the capital has moved. I can explain. I have got a maturity of LIC. I've got a FD. So therefore, capital has gone up. I can explain everything. I have the documents, but I'm not given an opportunity. I have not been given an opportunity to explain. And finally, assessment order is being passed. After it is passed, maybe I will win on appeal. Maybe it will get set aside in appeal. But till that appeal reaches 20% demand they are demanding. I am sure all of you will appreciate how the pressure is there now, even now, today. That demand is not paid. They are freezing the bank accounts. They are attaching money from the bank accounts. That they are not releasing the bank accounts unless you pay the money. All of these are things which are happening today. The concept of stay does not exist unless you pay the 20% of demand, even if you are on appeal. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is highly unfair. The scenario that I just described, it's a factual scenario that happened recently that I handled. It's a factual scenario where assessee has no remedy, where one addition is being made behind his back till he goes on appeal and has an opportunity to fight it in appeal. He cannot have any remedy, no stay also he can get. So in these scenarios, I think that it's very unfair. This is one example. Multiple examples are there. There are certain additions are being made behind the back of the assessee for want of time or targets. I can understand the assessing officer perspective, but at the end of the day, that assessee has to pay the money. If he gets a stay, at least you can fight. But many additions are made behind the back of the assessee, which is very, very unfortunate. Under this faceless assessment scheme, after the 4 stages, assessment unit, verification unit, technical unit, review unit, it is done. They are still passing what is known as a draft assessment order, because at this stage, please look at arrow number 9A. Look at the arrow number 9A. They will provide a show cause notice. They will provide a show cause notice to the assessee saying that we are going to make all of these additions. Do you have any points to state? So at least at this stage, I will say, I was not given an opportunity on the second addition they have made. If I was given, I would have been able to substantiate it. You either give me an opportunity now or don't pass this order. So if they pass the order despite that, you can go on appeal or you can go for a stay and you'll easily win it. You'll easily be granted the stay simply because you are not given the opportunity. You did not have this option before, but now under this, you will be given a final show cause notice as to what additions are being made. And finally, after you respond to the show cause notice, only then will the final assessment order be passed. So this is the overall faceless scheme at a glance. Now I'm sure you'll appreciate this entire flow chart. It will not be that confusing now once you see it compared to what it was before. I've tried to concise it in one page, and this is the entire faceless assessment at a glance. So now you may ask the next question. What is the role of the jurisdictional assessing officer? The gentleman who has passed after studying for so many years, IAS exam, IRS exam, he has selected IRS and he has come after finishing his UPSC. He's sitting here, he's rejected IPS, he's rejected IAS. So what is his role now? Has his role been watered down? Now he still has important roles. The first one, naturally, if he is not going to be the assessing officer or assessee in Hyderabad, he will be the assessing officer for someone somewhere else in India. So he continues to be an assessing officer. But second, collection and recovery of demand. Once the entire faceless scheme is over, They'll determine there was so much addition, so much demand. They will send it back to your assing officer in Hyderabad. He will call you, sir, you ask your client to play, sir, please, it has been more than 2 weeks. You please ask him to play. I have to seize the account. All that he will do. So collection recovery of demand will still be there. Rectification under section 154. So any rectification power still vests with your jurisdictional assing officer. You can check the jurisdiction by logging in, because now a lot of changes, transfers and mergers have happened across India for various departments. So even in Hyderabad it would have happened. So check who is the jurisdictional officer. Any rectification you need, you can go to your physical jurisdictional assing officer. It will not happen through the e-assessment scheme. Giving effect to appellate orders, any ITAT order they are passing, CIT order is passed, giving effect will be done by a physical officer. The final one is the most powerful power they have. The jurisdictional assing officer still has the power to launch his prosecution proceedings. And this is a very, very huge power that they have. Please note this power. This power was not used by most assing officer, but let me tell you, in 85% of the cases that I have handled, they have every right to do it. It is by the goodness of the hearts of the assing officers and the department that they have not initiated that much prosecution. But I have a feeling now, under the faceless assessment scheme, given the trend of prosecution cases, if you see the number of prosecution cases in the last 3 to 4 years, they have been on the rise. And I expect under faceless scheme, you may see an increase in the prosecution cases because the issues are being handled by another person. Then the file is being transferred. So you do not know what is the logic behind why the person has either not disclosed or why the addition has been made. So therefore, I expect there will be more prosecution cases for auditors to handle going forward. Important question, faceless scheme, can I opt out of it? Is it an optional scheme? It's very clearly been told it is not an optional scheme. It is completely mandatory. Everyone will come under the faceless assessment scheme, except for the following cases that you see on the screen here. Assessments framed under 153A, 153C, that is, search cases will not be covered under the scheme. Survey cases will not be covered under the scheme. Why? Because the mountain of evidence that is collected in survey and search are something which are very, very large in number. The seized documents, the seized gold, the seized cash, etc. Handling it is much easier at the same jurisdiction. So it will vest with the central circle. One very important update that you may have seen is that the survey powers have now been taken away from the jurisdictional assing officers. It has now been transferred to the central circle. So now the survey powers vests only with the TDS wing and the central circle. Nobody else, your jurisdictional officer cannot do a survey anymore. Henceforth, he has been removed of that power. So therefore, in these cases, it will still be physically done. It will be done by the central circle in these cases. One change is before the Finance Act 2020, 144 best judgment cases was not covered under the faceless scheme. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you that under the faceless scheme, what happened is there was a pilot project in September 2019 till August 2020, when it was made mandatory. There was a pilot project done. And under that pilot project, best judgment cases was not covered. So if it is a best judgment case, it will go to the physical officer. So what very smart associates started doing is, they used to get a notice from e-assessment. First notice, they will not respond. Second notice, they will not respond. Third notice, they will say, if you don't respond, we will do physical, we will do best judgment assessment. So third notice will come, they will not respond, and they will say, you issue a show cause notice and do a best judgment assessment to the physical officer. What will happen when the best judgment officer issues a physical notice saying show cause notice is there? He'll say, sir, I will come, sir. I will come and give everything now. So they used to escape the faceless scheme by not responding. And then when the show cause notice for 144 was issued, ASSI used to go and appear and present the documents. So therefore, in Finance Act 2020, they said whether 144 cases or 147 cases, we don't care. Whether it is reopening best judgment, everything will be covered under the faceless scheme only. So therefore, no stone will be left unturned. Everything will come under the faceless scheme. The next one, where assessment has been set aside by appellate authorities, it will not be covered by the faceless assessment scheme. This is natural. If I go on appeal saying that I have not been given an opportunity, There's a very famous case that came out during the lockdown called Sri Salem Vilas Chit Funds, the Madras High Court decision, where the Madras High Court said, faceless assessment excellent, e-proceedings very good, transparent taxation super, but you cannot deny the. So where you are asking information from the assessee said it's too voluminous for me to upload. Please allow me to come do it physically. You cannot say you have not come at all ex parte order. You have to give him an opportunity. So they directed, let a physical officer do the assessment for the assessee. So therefore, where it is being set aside by any of the appellate authorities, be it the High Court, ITAT, CIT appeals, CIT of course does not have set aside, but where the ITAT or High Court or Supreme Court set aside the matter, then it will come to the physical officer depending on the facts. Next case, where internet connectivity is poor and it has been notified by the DGIT. You take Jammu and Kashmir, for example, for the first half of this year, for many months, they did not have internet connection at all. So if a assessing officer or assessment unit is saying faceless, I'm sending notices to them, that person is not responding at all, let us do best judgment assessment. Then entire Kashmir assessees will be doing best judgment assessment because they don't even have net to do WhatsApp with each other, where they're going to check mail whether it has come from the income tax. So therefore, the DGIT or the principal CCIT may notify an area to be poor internet connection. So therefore, no need to do e-assessment in these cases, no need faceless, you please do it physically only. And finally, under exceptional circumstances, owing to administrative difficulty, the Principal Commissioner of Income Tax may record a reason in writing and do a manual assessment for the assessee. Now, some of you will say, Sir, Principal CIT is my very close friend. So for all my assessees, I can get it transferred physically. Sir, whether he is your brother, your best friend, or your mother also, it does not matter. He has to explain to each case that he is getting changing from faceless, I want it to be done manually. He has to write a note and submit it, which will be examined by the CPDT. Every note will be examined by the CPDT if he approves the transfer to be done by a physical assessment instead of faceless assessment. So therefore, it is genuinely meant only for exceptional scenarios. It cannot be abused by doing it for all the cases. So, critical question. All of us are auditors here, or lawyers, or people who are representing the assessees. How do we prepare for this faceless assessment scheme? First one, as I already told you, ensure you update the contact number and email ID of the client and change it to their own contact number. Second thing, get good scanning equipment for your office. Normally, all of our office, we used to have office boy or office girl who will go all the way to income tax. They will submit the documents, get sealed, tapal, and come back. Today, all that tapal concept is gone. Everything is scan and upload only. So instead of having a person run and do that, you teach them how to scan documents properly. So get scanning equipment, get scanning software, and ensure this is done. Next point is a very, very important point. And trust me when I say this, I'm already seeing the change. Improve the quality of drafting and presentation of submissions. Ladies and gentlemen, traditionally, we have been told whenever we are going for any assessment hearing, what they will say, you have to go wearing a formal shirt, wear a tie, wear a suit, go clean shaven, come with your hair nice and trim, sit up straight, look the assessing officer in the eye and you talk to him. All of that you would have heard. Whenever you ask someone what I should do, they will tell you all this. Today, you don't have any eye contact, nothing. Everything is on the computer. Whether you are wearing a suit or whether you are wearing a lungi, nobody cares. So you can argue the case however you want. But the arguments today are going to be on a piece of paper. You cannot do it across the table. Earlier, you could explain your position to the assessing officer and he will consider it and then he will pass the assessment order. So your drafting did not make that much impact then simply to have it on record. Today, your drafting only is everything. If your drafting is poor, then your case is lost. If your submissions is poor, your case is gone. So this brings two very, very important things. One, the quality of your drafting has to improve. Where you need to know how to draft. It should not be too long. At the same time, it should not be too short. It should be pertinent to the point and it should examine other aspects also. Second point, technical matters, case law, sections, knowing the act, everything is extremely important and it should come out in your submissions. Because ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, if the quality of your submissions are poor, then unfortunately, because of that, your case is lost. Your case will be lost. Your client, your assessee, he will suffer end of the day. So we must do whatever is in our power to try to protect the assessee. And I am seeing an emerging trend where many auditors, as appeals, they used to refer cases to me saying, handle the appeal. Assessment and CIT appeals, normally most auditors themselves used to handle. But under this faceless assessment scheme, people who have got the notices, because they are not, the quality of their drafting, they are not that competent. They are now outsourcing that itself. And of course, you can find a good chartered accountant. Now it is completely jurisdiction free. You don't have to go necessarily to auditor in Hyderabad or Chennai. You can refer the case to anybody, anywhere in India that you are comfortable with. You don't have to worry. If I give him this case, whether he will take the file and go off, all of those fears are gone. But you can refer the case and you both can come into agreement for sharing of the fees between each other. But the ultimate point is, if you do not have quality submissions, your client or your assessee will suffer. So therefore, take it up as an opportunity where you can try to improve the quality. Either you yourself get into this field and learn to draft better, or find someone who will do it for you and refer the case to them, and you can share the fees. But it is a very important point where those papers, whatever you're submitting, is the final argument that you are making. The next point, I don't have to say this, but I'm going to say it. Prepare and submit prompt responses to all your notices. As Pankaj very rightly said, he said Hyderabad is a town of Nawabs. Chennai is not a city of Nawabs, but still many people do the same thing here, where when you have the hearing next day, adjournment will be ready that previous night or that early morning. But this is very common anywhere in India. But under the faceless scheme, computers are involved. They have 15 days time, they'll say. The notice that you get for faceless assessment, you have to submit your response in 15 days. If you don't submit on the 15th day by midnight, 12 o'clock, it's a computer. It will shut down. You will not be able to submit after that. Whereas physically, many times even I have done it, where I'm at institute program, it gets late, I'm not able to go to a hearing, or I'm in a meeting, I'm not able to go to the hearing. I will call the assessing officer. I'll say, sir, can I come tomorrow? I apologize. He will say, no problem, Abhishek, you come. So I used to go on the next day morning and I used to give the submissions also. So this is very commonly done. So we did not make a big deal of it, but today it's a computerized digital era. No discretion. Moment midnight crosses, 15 days gone. Opportunity closed. You have to wait for the window to open again. Either that fellow has to send you another notice or he will pass a best judgment order, you are gone. So please remember, prepare and submit prompt responses. Even if it is an adjournment, please prepare and submit it promptly. Don't wait till that last day. Because if the window closes, no chance of opening it. So please be very, very careful about this. And the last point, extremely important, please take up appeals very, very seriously. Multitude of cases that I've handled where due to rapport between the assessing officer and the assessee, or the auditor and the assessing officer, there are many times where there used to be some sort of, they used to say, you know, sir, you don't go on appeal against this, I will not pass the penalty. Even genuine cases, we will not pass a penalty, you don't go on appeal. You pay the tax, you pay the 100% tax, no problem. So this was being done commonly across India, more common in the Mufassil areas, but it is happening even in the urban areas. So therefore, these scenarios, in order to maintain a good rapport with the assessing officer or the commissioner, many assessees or many auditors, they did not prefer to go on appeal. So they used a peace of mind, let us settle the case, we will pay the fees or pay the tax quantum we will pay and close the case, we will proceed with business. Focus on business, don't worry about regulation. Today, if you don't take up appeals, there is no rapport, there is no relationship. The moment your assessment order is passed, once the addition is made, penalty notice will come to you from some other place. So therefore, there's nothing that you are doing to help the assessee by not going on appeal. Today, the tribunal has been very favorable to assessees. Huge number of cases and orders are being passed in favor of the assessee. So therefore, by not going on appeal for the assessee, you are doing a disservice to the assessee. So please take up appeals as a new area of practice, and you can definitely try to not only is it a good from a monetary point of view, is it good for you, but for the assessee also it is a big relief. By not paying that tax, by not paying that penalty, by not facing that prosecution, fighting the case, he has a big chance to quash the quantum itself. Forget penalty, forget interest. quantum itself, he has a big chance of quashing in appeal. So take it up. It's a new vertical of practice for you. Or if you're not comfortable, you can refer the case to someone and share the fees. But it brings me back to the point where you have to do it. You have to take up the appeals. You have to take up quality of drafting. All of this needs to be done. If not, as chartered accountants, we are not doing justice to our clients. I still have some time, so I'm going to touch upon the CPC issues. Pankaj, can I take another 10 minutes and do this before we take questions?
Yeah, definitely, Abhishek ji. I think one second. Yeah. Carry on.
Okay, sure. So then I'm going to take up another 10 minutes before we go to the questions, where I will handle common issues that the faceless assessment era is going to bring in certain areas. The first thing, as Pankaj ji had told me, CPC. I'm sure many of you are facing issues with CPC. Now you have the raise hands option. Let us see how many of you are facing this issue. Your assessee is due for a refund this year. He is due for a refund this year. When he is getting the refund, let's assume 1 lakh he has to get. He calls you after 6 months. Sir, I've got only 20,000. I have to get 1 lakh. When you go and you check, you will find 80,000 adjusted against old demands. What old demands? 2012-13, 2004-5. All of these demands will be adjusted against the refund for the current year. How many of you have faced this problem? I think almost all auditors, within seconds, I'm getting 16, 20 people have raised their hands already. So you can see that it's a very common issue that we are all facing today, where suddenly one adjustment pertaining to a year which is very, very old has been adjusted against the current year demand, the current year refund. Actually, if you check with assessee, I'll tell you one more practical scenario. A salaried assessee that we are doing, he's a director in a company, so big salary he is getting. And he had a big refund for the previous year. Same thing. Suddenly he got a very, very small value. He said, Abhishek, I haven't got my refund. I checked what happened. Adjusted against 2004-5 demand. Which assessment year? 2004-5, they have adjusted the demand currently. He is a salaried person throughout his lifetime, only salaried. So how this happened, what demand? I asked the assessee, he's saying, I have not got any notice, no communication has come. Even I have not got any communication. Department website is also not showing any communication, but they have adjusted the demand. What happened here? Please tell me. If the assessing officer wants to rectify the, or I can say, if he has to rectify the assessment order, how much time does he have? Maximum 4 years time. If he has to revise under 263, how much time does he have? 4 years. If he wants to reopen, maximum of 4 years or 6 years. If in case of disclosure, from failure of disclosure by the assessee, maximum of 6 years. Or if it is foreign assets, maximum of 16 years. That also in this assessee's case ends in assessment year 2004-5. But they have adjusted against assessment year 2003-4, the demand. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a very pitiable situation where the department don't have the power to even reopen, but they're adjusting your refund for the current year against an old demand, which no communication proof is there anywhere. So what should you do in this scenario? It's a prime scenario where the documents are not available. There's a digitization process happening. Something has got lost in the process. But assessee cannot suffer where they're adjusting your old demands against your current year refunds. Ladies and gentlemen, please go for a rectification under 154, or if you're not getting any support from the rectification, file an appeal to the CIT appeals. You will easily win the case, because the department will not be able to prove that they have sent you any communication of the demand. The demand would have been raised now. In the last 2 years, they would have raised the demand, but it does not pertain. You could not have done it within the time limit under 143.1. What is the time limit under 143.1? No intimation can be sent after the expiry of 1 year from the end of the financial year in which the return of income is made. Ladies and gentlemen, that time for assessment year 2003-4 expired on 31st March 2005. They could not have done at any chance. Any notice would have been sent before 2005, then the department has a case. But let me tell you, in these refund adjusting cases, 95% of the time, they do not have the notices. It is purely due to digitization that this issue comes up for them. They don't have it in 26 years. They are raising the issue now. Please go on appeal against these cases. 143.1 they cannot do in this scenario. It will be invalid and you will easily win the case. The second point, again with 143.1 CPC related issue. Tax audit observations are being used for additions. How many of you have faced this issue now? Where employer's contribution to PF ESI, what is the last date which they have to pay? If they don't pay, you have to disallow. The due date of filing the return of income. So 31st of July, or in this case, 31st of December. By that time, they should have paid the entire contribution to PF of ESI of the employer. Employee contribution to PF ESI. What is the due date? Ladies and gentlemen, this is where there's a divergence in the Act. The Act says, it is not very clearly worded, there is a vague wording. They say employees' contribution to PF ESI should be made by the due date as per the respective Act. So therefore, by 7th of next month, 15th of next month, you should have made such payment. If you have not made the payment, then you have to disallow, and you cannot even allow in the year they have made the payment as per the Act, the wording of the Act. But multiple case laws are there, multitude of case laws are there saying you should not take that hyper technical stand. You give them time up to the due date of filing return of income. So employee contribution also, if they do by the due date of filing, you allow them to claim. Don't be hyper technical. Like this, multitude of decisions are there. But as an auditor, as a tax auditor, we have a responsibility in our 3CA, to disclose that this provision has not been complied with. So 3CD, the the assessee will say that no addition to be made. As per return, they will not make any disallowance. So they will not disclose anything from their end. But under 3CA, we will disclose. Now, what are the department doing? In these scenarios, the department should give you an opportunity to be heard. They should check out the facts because it's a debatable issue. Ladies and gentlemen, 143.1, the CPC are passing orders saying PF ESI, remittance not made, employees contribution, addition, demand. So you are getting orders in 143.1. But 143.1 is meant only for prima facie adjustments. Addition, where simple errors are there. I am typing depreciation as 4 lakhs instead of 40,000. They can make that correction. So all these typographical errors, small errors, that is what 143.1 can automatically correct. They cannot correct a debatable issue. They cannot take an issue where there is no prima facie evidence. So therefore, please note these points. Where they are making addition like this PF ESI issue, you can straight away go on appeal. No questions asked. Go on appeal immediately. You can fight the case out because it is not a prima facie addition. Now, third point. No response from CPC or assessing officer. What you should do? 90% of the time, you would have all faced it, where you would have got in your income tax website, you would have got a notice would have come. You will make a response, submit reply. There will be one button. You will click that button. You will submit your reply. You will upload whatever documents, and you will click submit. Then what will happen? Nobody knows what happens. That will be there like that. It will be whenever you go to income tax website, it will show you have submitted reply. View the reply that you have submitted. You can see. But within a matter of weeks, you will get the 143.1 order. Nothing, whatever submissions you've made, uploading you've made, nobody would have taken cognizance of that. But order alone will be passed without taking cognizance. Very common issue that you're all facing. And in fact, I happened to speak to the director of CPC last month. We had organized a program also, and I had spoken to him about this issue, and he has taken it up very positively. He said that, yes, I admit there is an issue. I admit it has to be corrected. We are working on it. You will see the change in a matter of 6 months. But what are we going to do until that 6 months? We cannot keep waiting. No, assessee is going to suffer. So till that 6 months, once again, as I told you, appeals. Now, appeals is going to be a very, very important role it's going to play under the faceless scheme and under the CPC era. So if you do not get a response under 154 or from your jurisdictional assessing officer, because when you go to assessing officer, what will happen? He'll say, sir, CPC. You go to CPC, he'll say, go to your assessing officer. Finally, asking where will assessee go? He'll come to auditor only. Sir, you are not doing anything. So go on appeal. As an auditor, we have to take up the stand. Otherwise, we will be once again not having any remedy for this, at least for minimum of 6 months, it looks like. Next one is actually a very interesting case. So you have limited and scrutiny assessment. And under limited and scrutiny assessment, one common question which has come: can I convert my limited scrutiny into full scrutiny? I'll give you an example, one case that we handled. What happened? Assessee had an agricultural land which he had sold. So this was picked up for limited scrutiny based on the sale of land. In the course of the proceedings, the assessing officer, physical assessment, in the course of the proceedings, assessing officer said, give me the bank statement, show that you have actually received the fund. I gave the bank statement. Then he came back. He said, you say this bank statement, I saw certain incomes that you have interest income. Have you offered it? I said, yes, sir, I have offered. Bring your P&L, I want to see. Brought the P&L, we showed him, sir, interest income is there, sir. No, in the P&L, one expense is there. So much expenses you have. You have given some salaries. Please, can you show me the salary details? I said, sir, I'll bring it to you. I gave the salary details. Then he said, staff welfare you have paid. Give me the breakup. I gave the full breakup. He said, staff welfare, this amount that you have paid, give me the invoice. So I said, sir, you want all the invoices? Yes, I want all the invoices. Brought all the invoices. But coincidentally, what happened? Some 4 or 5 expenses, we did not have the invoices. What he did, he said, he's made an addition. Entire staff welfare disallowed. This limited scrutiny, please remember, it is still a limited scrutiny. It started with sale of agricultural land. Look at where we have ended. Agricultural land, they wanted bank statement. Bank statement, they have seen interest income, they went to P&L. P&L, they went from income side to expense side. They went to salary heading. From salary, they came to staff welfare. From staff welfare, some invoice they have picked up and said they are making addition. Is this limited scrutiny or is this full scrutiny? Because I could not understand. I was saying, sir, limited means you have to limit to the show cause notice, sir. You cannot go beyond. They have a procedure. If you want to convert limited to a full scrutiny, certain approvals have to be obtained. Only then it can be converted. But many cases, limited scrutiny itself has to be done as it was a full scrutiny. Practically, this was what was happening. So we were hoping, based on the faceless assessment era, that this sort of situation will not arise. And that was the confidence that I had, where I thought definitely, in fact, their government has also announced, where scrutiny cases have come down from 0.95% all the way down to 0.25%. It's almost a three-fourth decrease in the number of scrutiny cases. There is a plan, and I can tell you here openly, there is a plan to abolish targets in a matter of time. You will hear where targets will soon be gone. This is the situation of targets will be gone soon. So when this is going to happen in this sort of scenario, I thought definitely when they say limited scrutiny, it will mean limited scrutiny only. But unfortunately, one case that was recently referred to me to handle it, the assessee has received a notice under the faceless assessment scheme where they have started asking for all kinds of details. They have said you have made sales. Give the details of all your sale agreements that you have had. He is saying, sir, I have 180 customers. Each of my sale agreement goes into 43, 53 pages. If I have to upload maximum 5 MB only, I can upload. And he is saying, give me all this. I said, sir, after all sales, sir, we'll give it. I will say that we will do it physically and we will submit the details physically at least. He said, sir, you have seen only first line. Please read. 26 items are there in the checklist asking, give details of salary slips of employees, give details of purchase documents, give invoices. They have asked to give invoices and all. They have asked the assessee in the faceless assessment era. So he told me, Abhishek, what I should do. I said, it is equal shock to me also, sir, because based on my experience, I have never seen this and we did not expect this. So I have escalated this issue and we are waiting for a response. So what you should do in case your assessee gets a notice like this, because once I got that first notice, slowly more and more people started telling me this has been happening. So at least a minimum of 20-30 queries I would have got from auditors saying this sort of notice they have got. So my view is I have got 20-30, that means there must be more at least. So if your assessee gets a notice like this, what you should do? First thing you have to do, document the fact that they are asking for so much information. It's very, very important that you bring out that it is excessive. So of course, do it in a more polite manner. You cannot say you're asking for excessive. You're wrong. You can say the details sought for by the assessing officer appears to be excessive. The assessee is not able to upload the same. There are technical difficulties. If the scheme is under a full scrutiny, we'll be more than happy to provide the same. So therefore, you can feel free to document the same so that in case you get an adverse order, even under the faceless scheme, at least you will have a solution where you can go on appeal and fight out the case and win the case positively. But from an administrative side, this is an issue that I've taken up, and definitely I will highlight it and I will update you as to what is the situation, because it is impractical even under physical scheme to expect persons to give all these details, let alone faceless scheme where you have to upload and scan the documents. It will take you almost 15 days to scan the documents only, let alone sit and upload it. So therefore, I think it's very, very unfair. But my advice to you, bring it out as a response, document the fact that they're asking for too much. So I'm skipping a lot of slides for want of time, and I'll be happy to share my presentation in the end. Many case laws, practical things I put even non-faceless era. Best judgment assessment, certain important considerations, as I've told you, give prompt responses. If you miss a hearing, one person asked me, if I miss a hearing, will straight away best judgment be done? They're not very unreasonable. At least 2 or 3 chances they have to give. So by 3 chances also, if you're not responding, then I don't think anything wrong by going to best judgment assessment. So they'll not immediately do it by defaulting in 1 hearing. But please ensure you try to give at least a response, saying adjournment, something like that. I tell you one case that I handled where, once again, assessee did not give one information and suddenly entire sales became profit. I said, sir, best judgment means best judgment. It does not mean no judgment assessment. They said entire sales is profit. If any business like that is there, you tell me, I'll drop my COP and go and do that 100% profit business. So 100% profit impossible. But when they do best judgment assessment, it's shocking. They disallowed TDS, whatever expenses I've paid. They disallowed even GST paid, all the details of VAT paid at the time. They disallowed all those kind of things. So best judgment does not mean the department will necessarily do best judgment. They will do it in their interest only. So we have to ensure prompt responses under the faceless era. Reopening, I think I will share the PPT. We're already at 7:40. So many questions have come. So there are some very, very important case laws here, which will be of practical use. Due to want of time, I'm just not covering those. I'll just quickly touch upon this one alone, because one more very common question, jurisdictional decisions. I'm sure many of you are aware that across India, our courts don't have common decisions. Hyderabad court, Andhra High Court will have one decision, Madras High Court will have another decision, Bombay High Court will have a third decision, everything on the same issue. So question comes up, what is applicable? When it was physical assessment, it was very clear. If your assessee is based in Madras or Chennai or Hyderabad, whatever places, your jurisdictional assessing officer will be there only. So naturally, the jurisdictional decision is Madras High Court or Andhra High Court or Bombay High Court, wherever both of them are. Under this faceless era, question comes up. Because assessee will be based in Hyderabad, but the assessing officer may be in Delhi or Bombay. So which is the decision which will be binding for him? Because as an assessee, I will say only Hyderabad decision is binding if it's in my favor. Assessing officer, he will say, no, Delhi is against you. I am based in Delhi. So therefore, I will rely on the Delhi decision. So huge question mark. What is binding on the assessee? My view here is very, very clear. It is still the jurisdiction of the assessee that matters, not the assessing officer. So jurisdictionally to the assessee, if your assessee has a favorable decision in your jurisdictional high court, that is what will be binding on him, irrespective of where the assessing officer is. Whether Bombay, Calcutta, Delhi, wherever he is, it does not matter. As long as Andhra High Court decision is there and your assessee is based in Andhra, then that decision only will be binding on him. So that is my point when it comes here. Of course, many more case laws I have. It's a huge PPT, but I'll be happy to share the same with you, because if I have to cover it, it may take much longer. So thank you very much to the participants for a very patient hearing. Thank you so much to the coordinators and chairman. Can we take up questions, Pankaj sir? I'll hand over the session to you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Abhishek. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Abhishek, as usual, beautiful presentation. Many things you covered it, and it shows that you're also a practical man. Abhishek, what I wanted to check up was, yes, this limited scrutiny, especially let us check up on these foreign assets. They start with foreign assets, and they started asking your immovable properties, attach sale deed, give bank statements, all these things. So can we say that this case, we'll not, you asked us to document the fact But can we say that my case is open for limited scrutiny only for foreign assets? So can I answer only the foreign assets and just choose not to answer the other questions? Now, for that matter, any area.
Yeah, that's a good question, sir. Given it's a faceless assessment era, my view is it is better to document it. Because earlier, what we used to do physically, we used to say we told it in the course of the hearing. Because in appeal, when it comes, it is preferable for me that he has failed to convert it into a full scrutiny. It continues to be limited scrutiny, then I have a stronger case in appeal. In appeal, I may win, or at least it will get set aside, some relief I will get. But when it comes to your faceless assessment, unless you document it, nothing is on record. I cannot go on appeal and say it is only limited scrutiny. They will say where you said it is limited scrutiny before the assessing officer. So I cannot say in the course of proceedings I mentioned, because the course also includes your documentation. So my view is you can definitely bring it out saying that it is a limited scrutiny. Because please note that when they are converting limited to full scrutiny, there is a process involved for the department side also. The assessing officer has to justify to his administrative commissioner that it's something that warrants a converting to a full scrutiny. And given that the scrutiny numbers have been reduced from 0.95 to 0.25, therefore there is a onus on them also to try to reduce the scrutiny cases. So if it is limited scrutiny, it will not fall into that number. So if it is full scrutiny, then it will get scrutiny. At least the information will go up to the finance ministry. So if it is excessive, they may take action. So some relief you can find. So my view is better to document it and request them to understand. You can confirm with them whether it is limited scrutiny or full scrutiny. That may be a polite way to approach. Instead of saying this is limited scrutiny only, you cannot ask me this. Instead, you can say, for my understanding, I want to know whether it is a limited scrutiny or full scrutiny. Because when it is converted, they have to mention to you that it has been converted from limited to full. So at least that onus you have put on them, on the record, it will be there. So when you go on appeal, you can definitely find out the case.
Yeah. Thank you, Abhishek. Quickly because I was, Abhishek, deliberately today is the first meeting where I switched on the video and kept. The only reason that if I am not attentive, people will not leave me. So that's why I wanted to be very attentive today. That's it. And this, CPC is definitely playing havoc. Abhishek, for us, it is very easy to tell them, go for appeal, go for this and all. Now, what happened was January, February, these people have passed some very surprising notice. Your Form 16 says 10 lakhs income. Your 26 says 10 lakhs income. The company also says it's 10 lakhs income. But CPC starts with your income 15 lakhs. And there are demands raised in 8 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs to them. And a simple thing, where from you got the figure, there is no answer. Yesterday's case, TDS wrongly, TAN number wrongly written, we corrected the TDS appearing in 26 years. Within half an hour or 1 hour, your 140 rejected, 154 comes, it is rejected. Now, do you advise all such cases we have to go for appeal only, or is there a better way? Because too much of litigation it would be. Are we prepared for such things?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, sir. Once again, a very pertinent question. Practically everyone is facing this. See, there's an issue over here where you have a section 205 in the Act, which says where
Yes.
TDS is deducted for the assessee. The assessee should not be penalized because of default of the employer or the deductor.
Yeah.
But practically how this is implemented is a challenge. Because I can give a complaint saying I have paid it. It has been deducted from me. It is there in my payslip. It is there in my bank statement. But when I'm filing my return of income, that CPC is automatically processing based on 26 AS only, not based on my payslip. So in this scenario, definitely they are going to raise a demand. And like you said, there are scenarios where I don't know how they are getting the figures, high figures they are adding as salary income, and they are saying demand. In these scenarios, there are two remedies. The first one naturally is your 154, which is you go for a rectification. And my view is if it is getting rejected on the system, try to physically meet your assessing officer. That is why I pointed out rectification power still remains with your jurisdictional assessing officer. So try to meet him physically and try to get a rectification. Now, of course, they have the pressure for the Vivad scheme cases and all that. So maybe they are not meeting assessees. But in a normal scenario, 154 is something which they will meet you. They have been told. And if the department is serious about the taxpayer charter, they have to give you a patient hearing and they should be polite and all that is there. and therefore they will definitely give you a hearing. My experience, my personal experience, as far as Tamil Nadu and the cases that I've handled at assessment level is concerned, they have been highly responsive for 154. I've very rarely come across a scenario where the department has not been responsive. There have been one or two cases where they have delayed excessively. They don't want to give the relief, but that is exceptional cases. 95% of the cases, 154 has moved very smoothly, especially when I've been able to produce the documents. Worst case scenario, if your housing officer is not giving you relief, go to the JC. They will definitely help you out. So I think in these scenarios, try to do 154. But if 154 is getting rejected, you're not getting a resolution, go on appeal, sir. That's the only remedy that you have. Because going under 264 and all, I don't advise for these sort of scenarios.
Yeah. Thank you, Abhishek. I think I will stop my questions because my questions.
Shall I read out the questions from here and take it up, sir?
We'll go to Q&A. Okay,
I'll just quickly read it out fast and I will take the answers.
You have been talking for so long, Abhishek. Just it will give some 20 seconds rest to your throat. Okay. I will read out the question loud.
Okay, sure.
I can't do better than that, so at least that's one.
Okay. Sure.
Again, the first question is from your namesake, Abhishek only. Whether the show cause notice to be given only when addition is made is the question.
Yes, sir. Show cause notice naturally only when addition is made they'll give. If it is going to be an order where they are confirming whatever returned income, there's no need for it. So it is only for additions.
Thank you, sir. And I am a proof to that. And second, sir, penalty proceedings are conducted by National E-Assessment Center or jurisdictional AO?
I think Srinath sir has raised a good question because very carefully I did not put penalty in my presentation. The reason is because there is still some gray area over here. Because recently I've been told penalties will also be covered under the e-assessment. It will not come under this, but it is not yet concrete, I may say. There is still some element of discussion going on there. But right now, it is going to be under the e-assessment scheme only, but the situation can change.
Thank you. I'm going to Rajendra Prasad Nadella. He's representing many chartered accountants in this question, I think. Can we seek adjournment for submission of information under e-assessments? Can we submit part information on due date and the due date or before when the entire information was not ready by the due date?
Yes, sir, you can. I think it's a good question. Again, practical question. Now, when you go to that faceless assessment for submissions, when you want to reply under the faceless assessment scheme, you will have a drop-down box saying you want to give partial reply or full reply like that. If you select full reply and give partial information, they may pass the assessment order saying what you have given is complete. So whatever you do, select only partial. So that will be my advice. Unless you're 100% certain everything is covered, don't put full reply. Put partial, submit whatever you want to submit so that at least you will have some avenue to argue further in the case. So yes, you can submit one information on one date, balance you can submit on another date. There's no problem there.
Thank you. And just Abhishek, not from here, what is the relevance of 11:38 p.m., 1:53 a.m. and 2:41 a.m. when you said till midnight we can answer?
Yeah, it has to be. So as you said, I think that is a computerized process where the dates and times are coming. So they are saying that you must submit it. So I guess in those specific cases, they may give extra time, sir, because my understanding is...
The first few notices disappeared on the dot second, Abhishek.
Yes,
I was just pressing submit and then he said it cannot be submitted. That's why I just cross-checked with you.
Yeah, you're correct. You're absolutely right, sir. That is why I think in those specific cases, they may give you additional time. But normally the idea is to give a date and not a time. That it will be, it will expire, let's say on 17th of December. Then on 17th of December up to midnight you will have. I think that is the idea behind it. But as you said, some notices you are right. They're giving timelines and all.
Yeah, and very odd. And then Gupta Anavarapu, can we change the ITR type while applying for rectification appeal? Since I have filed ITR 2 in which there was a bug and intimated the same thing to assessing officer, but still I could not file the same ITR.
You can rectify. The idea is when you file a rectification, you cannot change the gross total income. If your gross total income or your deductions are changed, then in that case, the rectification will get rejected. So as long as your gross total income is the same, I'll give you an example. I have two house properties. One house property is self-occupied, the other is let out. I am filing an ITR 1. All my details are correct. My rental income is correct. My salary is correct. My other sources are correct. Deductions is correct. Even my final tax payable, everything is correct. But I filed the wrong ITR because ITR 1 is only when you have one house property. So the moment you have two house properties, even though the numbers are correct, the ITR is wrong. In this scenario, you can definitely change to ITR 2 and you can rectify, so there's no problem.
Thank you. There are two questions from P. Sridhar. One is that on exceptional basis, EVC hearing, electro video hearing would be allowed based on the request made by SSC. Can you please throw some light on this? The second question is different, so I'll take it later.
Yeah, so this question is a good question. Again, there is no conditions or criterias, no hard conditions or criterias laid down as to when it will be done through virtual conferencing. It's going to be left at the discretion of the assessment unit and the MEAC. So where they think there is a reason that warrants you to have a virtual hearing, then they will give it to you. For example, I am not able to communicate clearly, so I'm saying I want to explain it through virtual hearing. They may do it if they are kind enough. So there is no criteria as yet. I think that will evolve over a period of time. As they get some more experience in the faceless assessment era, they will know what are the common issues, and maybe they'll come out with some additional criteria as to when you can go for a virtual hearing.
And his continuing question is, what is the position of transfer pricing proceedings, both in case of Indian companies and in case of assessment of foreign companies?
Again, it's a practical question. Even though I gave an example of transfer pricing in my PPT, international taxation, transfer pricing have been left out from the scope of this faceless assessment. So international tax cases will continue to be done by the physical assessing officer.
And CGK Murthy sir asked the Kaun Banega Crorepati question. Will the department be generally broadly liberal in granting adjournments during faceless assessments as in days of manual assessments? Again, it's
I'm going to split this into two parts. Will they be broadly liberal in granting adjournments? My answer is yes. Will they be as liberal as manual assessment? Highly doubtful. Because I think in manual assessments, the assessing officer department were very, very kind to us. But I don't think we'll find that in faceless, sir.
I know, sir. And Hanmanlu sir, again a senior chartered accountant, even CPC accepts rectification applications. I think it's better to approach CPC only. My opinion, sir, don't do that. It is an artificial intelligence lying there. Anything you write, they'll not even bother to read, simply reject it. Sir, Abhishek, can you?
Yeah, Hanmanlu sir, that's been my experience as well, where you reply, unless it is something which can be processed by the system. For example, it is the same BSR code, it is the same challan number, exactly matching figures, then it may process. But very, very rarely is the computerized system when accepting any reply you gave. That reply will be hanging there and an order will be passed. So rectification means, I mean, only physical. Otherwise, we are not getting the remedy that we are seeking.
Nothing, Abhishek. 4,95,000 TDS credit not given because of one mistake. I attached 26 A's and I went for correction. Within 45 minutes, not even 45 minutes, they rejected it. God only knows why they rejected. And 2 lakhs interest. I'm going to next question. RSP Gupta again. Sir, even the assessing officer rejected the first intimation amount and asked to go for rectification appeal. And there are no changes of income that ITR 1 or 2. The only problem is ITR is not accepting the gross total income, and even they have agreed about this bug.
Sir, if that is the scenario, there's no other remedy. We have to go on appeal, unfortunately. We can obviously escalate it to CBDT and try to take it up at a broader level. But if we're limiting it to your specific client, we don't know when the remedy will come. Honestly, we have to shrug our shoulders and hope that it will come. Instead, you go on appeal, 100% you'll win the case. It's very straightforward. If you are saying department has agreed it, it's a matter of 15,000 or 20,000 rupees or whatever the appeal fees come, and whoever's representing you, that's fine. I think you should just go ahead with it.
Thank you. Sir, Ereshirao Sakre, he appeared before AO in March 20, submitted details, COVID strikes, assessment orders not yet passed. Can we submit further grounds as on today's date? I don't think so.
Appeared before AO March 20, submitted details.
In March 20, he appeared, he submitted all the details, but order was not passed.
So then it is a de novo assessment, as I told you. Irrespective of whether you're appeared one time or 20 times, also they are not making any discretion. It would be transferred to the faceless assessment de novo.
Sir, K. Anmanlu sir is very close to Modi ji and is very famous BJP activities here, and he is saying that we have successful experience with CPC. Sir, I'm coming to meet you tomorrow for a cup of tea. That's what I can say. Prashant Bhattarji asked, CPC has not given credit for the complete TDS. Do we have to file the appeal for same?
So this is once again a scenario where you can go for rectification first. So I'll probably suggest, since repeated questions are coming on this, I'll suggest a sequence of events you can consider. The first thing that you can do is respond to CPC. Like how Hanumanthulu sir said, if you're lucky enough to get it rectified and you have a good experience with CPC, then straight away your issue is closed there, no problem. Second, if CPC or submitted reply, you're still getting an adverse order or you're not getting a response. Next thing you can do is do a 154. Go for a rectification under section 154. Likelihood, if it's a straightforward issue like TDS mismatch, etc., under 154, definitely it will get resolved. If worst case scenario 154 also getting rejected or you're not getting a response or you don't know what to do, then you go for an appeal at that stage. So this can be your order of preferences. Once again, 264, I don't recommend at all for simple issues. Unless it is something that warrants 264 to be done, try not to use it because you are waiving your right of appeal under 264.
Thank you. And the second last question, please don't put more questions. Please, Sridhar, what about TP proceedings of Indian companies having international transactions? Whether it will also be part of Faceless?
So in this case also, if it is having any international transactions, then automatically it will come in the international tax ward. So the way they are seeing is the classification of the board. The moment any international comes, it's usually classified to international taxation. If suppose it is not coming under international taxation and you're having a transfer pricing issue, you can definitely notify saying it has an international tax issue. They will transfer from faceless to physical in that case. So naturally, if it's transfer pricing, you cannot argue on this faceless assessment and all. It is very hard to. Normally, physical assessment itself coming to arm's length, the comparables and all is very, very difficult. So get it done under physical only. Try not to go under faceless.
Usharani Jantala, what if on responding or giving response to the notice in the faceless assessment, the SSC has not received any reply from the portal? How to communicate, whom to communicate?
So ma'am has clearly practically experienced it, and that is the scenario today. I told you very long process, 4 units, 5 units and all are there. I told you what is the entire procedure, but nowhere does it say, it says assessee has to respond in 15 days. It does not say department has to respond in 15 days. And unfortunately, we don't have any sort of checking position to see where it is. This is one suggestion that I've in fact given to the survey, what we have done with the finance ministry, is that I said, you can give us a status check where it is at, whether it is at assessment unit, whether it is at verification unit, or what sort of stage it is at the department side. As it stands, we have to reply. We don't know what will happen. We will get an order or we will get a notice. We have to wait till then.
Yeah, but Abhishek, do every notice require 15 days or the first notice reply only requires 15 days?
No, it gives you 15 days time. You can submit
every communication?
Everything. No, unless
so they're not giving. I think today, 1st December dated notice, I was asked to give on 7 December, which we gave today. But now they have stopped going, and my worry is as time progresses, they might give the notice at night 2:30 and ask us to give reply by evening 5:30 or what will.
That's a good point, sir. I'll make note of this because the representation that we have given is that 15 days time is what they are giving. We have requested them to extend that time. We have said from 15 days, you make it 20 to 25 days is what we have told them. We did not want to say 30 days because we thought it's a very long time. So we said at least 20 to 24 days will be a reasonable time to give the assessee. But I'm surprised that they've given only 7 days. I'll make note of this and I'll bring it up in the next meeting, sir.
If 1 month comes, then on first, just 1 month before, we can submit the bills for assessment proceedings because nothing else will come. No? Okay, last question. I think Tejo Murtula Rammurthy, he was a successful secretary of Hyderabad branch earlier. So I know what secretaries are for secretaries. So I'm just taking revision of 26 AS by director subsequent to filing of return of income. Neither AO nor CPC responds. What is the course of action left?
This is a big issue, sir. This is a big issue. And here, your remedy is first, if you have time to file a revised return, please file a revised return. If you can do a 154, do a 154. But my experience is 154 does not give you the relief you want. So here, your solution without going on appeal, it's a very trivial matter to go on appeal, would be file 119(2)B. It's a petition for condonation that you can file before your principal commissioner or CBDT, depending on the size of the amount involved. You can file a petition with them and they have the power to take it up and issue a refund or allow you to file a belated return, how many years later it may be. Maximum of 6 years they have. So beyond that, they can definitely do it. So that is a power which is very specific to the principal commissioner only or CBDT, depending on the amounts. There is a limit up to 10 lakhs, your chief commissioner, beyond 10 lakhs, up to 50 lakhs, your principal commissioner, beyond 50 lakhs, it has to go to the CBDT. So if it is depending on these limits, you have to make the petition to them under section 119(2)B. So once you do that, you will get a relief, sir. That is the only solution that you have in this scenario. And it's a very unfortunate thing, but maybe we will get a remedy in the future. But as it stands, that's what it is at. And I also, I know we are not covering a lot of questions due to want of time, but I shared my mobile number. I'll share it in the chat also. Feel free to reach out to me, any doubts you may have, or you need the PPT. And thank you so much.
PPT, one is, first is our just virtual, thanks to a virtual man. And kindly accept it, sir. And I'm sure there will be many more requests to you from Hyderabad branch down the line. Okay. And Naresh, quickly want to say something before we close it.
As I rightly mentioned, the presentation was very interesting and very absorbing. So as I keep listening, I'm getting revision of my future presentation. So thank you, Abhishek, for a very interesting and absorbing presentation. It was very nice, and you have taken a lot of practical questions and a lot of your rich experience you are sharing to all of us. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Chairman, for giving the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Two things I wanted to just inform. The first thing is that on December 10th and 11th, we are having the SRC conference. Friends, this team, I think SRC is the best. East or West, SRC is the best is what they say. And this team is doing a lot of work, and they're doing it in a virtual way, but want to give the physical atmosphere to all of you. There are a lot of things you will be getting to do in that seminar as if you are attending a physical seminar. So one is kindly register fast to the program, and the topics are excellent. The theme is Shikaram, so we want you to be at the peak of your careers. And friends, all of you, it is our duty, it is our responsibility to make it a successful program. And it's also that it is our program, it is our SRC which is holding. Request all of you to join. And friends, this e-assessment, I think somewhere down the line, what has happened is most of the chartered accountants are treating ourselves as someone who can do the GST work, who can do the IT returns filing, who can do the accounting work, and who can just do something. Friends, I think now this is the time where the quality work will come into picture. Now you cannot say, see, look, tax consultants cannot do this work. Try to understand. So it is the time where we, all of us, come together, spend some time, learn more and more about e-assessments, and then take it up in a better way. because the gone are the days where we can worry about someone taking away the files and all. Now, neither you can stop anyone from taking away your files, nor other person can also easily take. The what criteria will come down the line is the quality of your service. So friends, without bothering about anything else, let us improve the quality, let us improve our work, and let us charge properly. I think enough we have cribbed, opportunity has come, let us encash it. And thank you, Abhishek sir, excellent presentation. More and more will be calling you. And thank you, Abhishek sir. Thank you all the 288 people who are there till 5 minutes back. And now we are seeing the people going away. Kindly encourage us like this so that we can conduct more and more programs in this manner. So Naresh, you can just address and then we can close it.
Yeah. So regarding the conference, this is the first time I think in the history of SIRC we are having a webinar-based regional conference. All the time we have been having physical. This is the first time we are having a webinar-based. So I think the cost-wise is very reasonable, and then the maybe if I can use the word return gift is also excellent. So just now one message just came in where the return gift is much higher than what we are contributing. So I think that advantage is definitely there. So early bird incentive is what they are looking at. So we are all looking at. So members, if I can request to register.
We're giving a practice management software, sir.
Yeah, so practice management software. It's a pretty costly one, which we are getting it complimentary. I'm sure it will be of great advantage to all of us. So that will help us to manage the client work much better. So thank you, friends, and thank you, Chairman, for the.
Thank you all. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Gilly sir, for the opportunity. Thank you all participants.
Thank you, everyone, all the people who are present here. I just want to make one announcement. Friends, a lot of bad things are written about ICA with respect to conduct of exam. The funniest news I got was that one person tweeted 2 confirmed positive cases in CA examination in AV College on 1st December. Retweeted 74 times in 1 hour. Friends, there was no exam on AV College on 1st December. And we had already shifted. And myself, Dhanima Sharma, Naresh Geli. Coincidentally, all 3 of us were in that center from 1 o'clock to the end of the exam. And nothing happened. You are seeing me, you are seeing Naresh healthy. So, friends, a lot of wrong things are being talked. I'm proud to say you, and you'll also be proud that your ICA will never fail the members. We are with you. We are with students strongly. Please don't believe the rumors. Everyone right from everyone in managing committee across India is working 24/7 for the benefit of students. None of us have slept peacefully for so many days, and I think all of us will be sleeping properly only on 7th. So believe us, we will not let even a single person affect. We are doing everything, sir. Don't believe the wrong rumors. Yes, if there is a mistake, kindly point it out. We'll rectify it immediately. So thank you. Good night, everyone, and see you soon. See you on 12th for a transfer pricing program. Thank you. Thank you, Abhishek.
Good night.
Yeah, I think if all the people have put your names and all, we can end the program. I think I gave you 15 minutes. If you want, you can put. Yeah. Abhishek, you can carry on. I'll just keep it on for some time so that members who are not put can just put.
Thank you. Thank you all. See you. Thank you, Gilly.
Thank you, Arun Bhai. Naresh, वो Sikaram के registrations है.
शुरू करते. I'll send it across. थोड़े members पूछ रहे थे, so I think this message अभी जो आया, it was really good. We'll push it now.
Yeah. वो मैं video recording भेज दिया. अरे मैं YouTube बंद कर दूँ.
Right. चलो ना, मैं भी निकलता हूँ.
Right on right.
Right. Bye.
Hello.